That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy first home game Saturday. It is always special. That first Notre Dame home game in the fall when the weather's still nice. It's going to be a beautiful day in South Bend. Welcome to football season. It always starts wherever it starts, but it's different when that first home game in South Bend hits. And there's a lot of emotion wrapped around this one today in different ways that I think's unique. And that's some of what we're going to get into today. So obviously, if you're here, you know to subscribe on YouTube. If you haven't yet, please do so. Give the video a thumbs up. It does help in the search algorithm. Notifications on, you be alerted every time I get mad about something and do a show on it. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar always Irish or at always Irish Inc. Emails always irishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can get me. Call in line 312-900-8815. Phone lines are up. I want to know. Phone lines are up today. Here's what I want to know. I was really thinking about this all night, last night. It's Marshall. This isn't Ohio State. You're not talking about all this existential elite, all the stuff that got wrapped into Ohio State. This ain't it. This ain't that. All right. It's different. It's just a different feel. And with that comes different things I need you to do today. All right. So I got a little anxiety today. It's a different feel. The anxiety's different. Here's how I'll put it. This is the best way to put it. I think my headphones are falling apart on my head. Here's how I'll put it. It's like, no, this week playing Marshall doesn't come with the pressure that comes with playing Ohio State and all that was and the buildup and the prime time and everything and the two brand names. This ain't that. It's a different kind of pressure this week. It's a pressure of, I need to see more out of you, especially offensively, or everybody's going to freak out about where this is headed this year. Like, it's a totally different kind of stress. So it isn't this, I just hope we win. That'll be good enough no matter what it looks like by 1 point. That's not the vibe today. That's not the feel today. That's not the message today. It can't be the message today. There's a lot of work to get done in Notre Dame Stadium today. All right? Brian J. Irish, first time catching your live stream. I really appreciate you. Thanks for joining. And I see some regulars in here. David Knight, longtime guy. Jaded Clay, Nick Dean. All these people have been around forever. I really appreciate you guys. You've been around a long time. All you guys, I recognize those names. Oh, boy. So here's kind of where we're starting at here. So clean slate. Obviously, this is all, here's what you're going to have today from the media, especially NBC playing it up. You and I both know what this whole thing's going to be. This is all going to be about Freeman getting his first win and all of that. And it's a sunny day in South Bend and the dome's going to be shining and all of that. So you and I both know that's the storyline, just like ESPN Game Day has their storylines. Everybody's going to do what they're going to do. That's the storyline. It's all get Marcus's first win and all that stuff. Here's my response to that. And maybe this is where it's me being a jerk a little bit to some people in this fan base. The whole angle is going to be about getting Marcus's first win. That's a little annoying to me because it's our third try to accomplish that. All right? So that's where, if this was game one, week one, year one, and he hasn't played at all, or we haven't played at all, I'm totally open to getting Marcus's first win because it's try 1 out of 1. We're down to try 3 out of 3, and people like me are a little bit out of patience. I know you had the big break, but I'm not used to a 2-game losing streak, even with the games in between. All right? Or break in between, right? Between the bowl and then this season. So I'm just wound a little tight. And I'm going to be honest, after what we saw last week on offense, I do not personally have the patience to sit there and watch a Notre Dame team struggle to move the ball at home in perfect weather against Marshall. I can't. I just can't. I'm telling you guys, after the offensive struggles last week, and that you could somewhat write up as Ohio State's good, and they have a good defense coordinator and wonderful athletic players, and that's all true. After that 10 spot, no, I'm sorry. I don't have patience. After that 10 spot, I need you to go in there today and score a lot right away. Right away. You can't be limping into the half with 7 or 6 points or something against Marshall. So I need to see that. It's just a totally different thing this week. I'm not sitting there going, I just hope we win. That's going to be enough. That's not enough this week. You have big picture goals you need to move on. And a lot of these big picture items, you're further behind than where I thought you'd be right now. That's the issue. I feel like the offense is behind. And it's like, well, John, you played Ohio State. What did you expect last week? 40 points? No, I did not expect 40 points. I also didn't expect 10. Like, can I get somewhere in between that's real life? Real life, please, would be in between 40 and 10. Would be something realistic. That's not what we got. 10 ain't enough. I can't have you sitting there 8.5 months and come up with 10 points. Now you play a lesser opponent. I'm not in the mood for a sunny day in the park in South Bend and you have 3 points at halftime. Early and often. Early and often. You don't have to be perfect this week. Open it up. Let the guys play. Let this offense ease into the game. That never happened last week. For the guys to actually get a feel and ease into the game. There's too much going on. Get things stabilized. I'm sorry if you could tell I'm a little wound tight today. It's just the dynamic. You're already coming off a loss. Now you're home. You're playing a lesser opponent. I ain't in the mood to see a struggle. That's where this vibe's coming from this morning, folks. I ain't in the mood for a struggle. All right? John telling me to take deep breaths. It's 9:08. I'm doing the best I can. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a certain type of way. But this is all going to be about the homecoming party, getting Marcus's first win. I agree with all that. I'm just not in the mood for it to look like a damn struggle against this club. All right? There's Craig. I'll be seeing Craig next week in South Bend. By the way, Craig, we need to talk this weekend, figure out the plan, what we're going to do next week. I got to connect with you, figure that out. Today will define my confidence in T. Reese moving forward. Seizing the moment is a must. It's now or never. Craig, see, this is what I mean. This seems over dramatic when I say what I just said. Craig saying today will define my confidence. It's now or never. A lot of people are looking at it being like, how can you guys say Marshall's now or never? It's just a matter of feeling better about where certain parts of the team are at. Like, losing to Ohio State isn't the big issue. It's some of how it looked, right? Like, if you just looked at the rosters, looked at the experience, looked at the coaching, and then showed somebody the Ohio State Notre Dame score, they would say, yeah, that seems pretty reasonable to me based on where these programs are at and what's on the field that's proven. That result looks like what the result should look like. Most people can get that. This is different today. This ain't that. So it's like, I get that it seems extreme to put all this pressure on Tommy Rees against Marshall, but you got to see this offense develop. You got to see it develop. We talk all the time about how a big key to getting the Freeman era Notre Dame Irish in the direction we want to go towards winning these elite ball games. We all know Buckner's a huge part of that. You got to get him going. He was handcuffed I'm telling you, man, he was handcuffed so much last week. There's so much they didn't want him to even try and do, so much they kept from him. Like they were playing in a box. They were scared. Open it up. Open it up. Tyler Buckner's a guy that's going to play his best when you let him create and develop and cook. I promise you. I promise you it's true. It's true, Mitchell. They did hold a ton. They held a ton, and they held twice on that big third down sliding catch conversion on the sideline. There was at least 2 blatant, egregious holds not called. That's the way it is. I can't even blame the Big Ten. It was ACC refs, or not ACC. Somebody, it might have been ACC, but it wasn't Big Ten refs, so I can't be mad at that. That's the way it is. Notre Dame doesn't get those holding calls. D-Rock, good to see you in here. Good morning. D-Rock's been around the channel a long time. Until I see it on a consistent basis, ND will continue to make it tougher than it really is. 27-17. Hey, D-Rock, I say this all the time. I don't understand why. I know I exist in the Notre Dame ecosystem primarily, but I say this all the time. Why does it just look so hard for Notre Dame to accomplish things offensively compared to other teams I see around the country with way less talent than Notre Dame has? I am not trying to be a jerk. We got a couple calls on the line. You're coming up. 419. You're going to be next. You're coming up. We got a 419 and then a 574. You're the first 2 up this morning. I say this all the time. Think about last weekend, you guys. You had 5 days of college football in a row, I believe, because of the holiday weekend interruption. You have 5 days of football in a row. If you're watching this show, you're like me. You had the TV on football all weekend and longer, right? And what I see is, I see a bunch of teams out there that don't have nearly the talent Notre Dame has whipping the ball around. They're moving up and down the field. They're throwing quick slants. Their quarterback, nobody's heard of, is throwing a gentle fade into the corner of the end zone, dropping it in the basket perfectly. They're throwing tunnel screens with lots of blocking on 3rd and 12, gaining 20 yards. Everything Notre Dame does looks hard. It drives me insane. Everything seems like a struggle. It's all work. Where's the rhythm? Where's the flow? Like, if you've been around football long enough, you know what I'm talking about when an offense has that rhythm and they're clicking and they're flowing. And the guys start knowing what the other guys are doing without even communicating. You just know, where is any of that flow for Notre Dame? And it's like, well, John, we were playing a really hard team last week. What do you expect? I'm not saying this just about the Ohio State game. I'm saying this almost about every damn Notre Dame game against somebody good in recent vintage. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I think there's a lot of pressure on Tommy Rees today. I'm serious. I'm not trying to be a jerk. And I know your people are going to tell me it's just Marshall. Relax. No, I'm not going to relax. If you scored 35 points against Ohio State last week and lost, I'd be reacting a little differently. Well, then I'd probably have defensive concerns I'd be complaining about. But you get what I'm saying. The fact that the offense isn't where it needs to be by more than I thought it would be is concerning. Just is. Hopefully, open up the playbook helps the offense. Buckner goes for 300 plus and 3 TDs. I need that, Mitchell. Thanks for the Mitchell Coney. Thanks for that. I need that. Like, I need that. Tyler Buckner needs that. It's not even really an option. You need it. You need it. Like, that's the thing. You need it. I'm just, and I know I'm antsy and it's like things take time and all that. I get it, man, but 10 points ain't enough. Come on. 8.5 months, 10 points, can't do it. That can't be it. I can't live with that. I can't exist in that. It's not sustainable. So Buckner goes for 300 plus pass yards and 3 touchdowns. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what I need to see, right? Like, that's it. That's what I need to see. Not just for us. Here's the other thing, folks. This isn't just for us to feel better. I want Buckner to have more confidence in the offense. Who cares about me yelling in my basement? That's not what this discussion's about right now. This discussion's about what's best for moving the program forward the quickest so that we could get to the end of the tunnel of the Marcus Freeman light at the end of the tunnel bridge, or whatever that saying is. We need to get there. And Buckner developing with this offense is a big part of that. And I need to see more. And today's got to be the day. Today's got to be the day. You open up a can, make people feel better about it today. Then you go into Cal next week. You feel really good about that even more. And you shape that more. And then that gets you in a better position to get ready to play North Carolina and then go to Vegas and play BYU, right? Because those are 2 trickier games compared to the 2 ahead of us this week and next week. So there's a roadmap here for you to be able to work some things out. But you really need to, as a program, take advantage of these 2 weeks if you're Notre Dame. You need to be smart about it and figure out how you can maximize what you need to accomplish. You have to. So 300 plus, 3 TDs, great. Get Buckner running one in this week. Like, I just need to see the offense gain some confidence. I just think it'd be good for the fan base, but most importantly, it'd be good for the players. Get that offense going. Let's go to the phones. 419. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Josh from Ohio, positive ND fan on Twitter. I've been talking to you for the past couple of months. I thought I'd call in since I'm not working today. And I'm sitting in my freaking hotel room in South Bend waiting on my girlfriend to do her makeup so we can head to the stadium. And I'm tired of waiting just like you. I'm tired of waiting on her, and I'm tired of waiting on this Notre Dame offense.
Tell her she's late. Tell her she's late and that you should already be tailgating.
I know. I'm tired of it. We went to Bar Louie and Granger last night, and she has 3 martinis, and on the second one, I already knew we were going to be late. Last night, I knew we were going to be late on the second martini.
I don't want to be causing any problems here in your relationship. I don't want to get in the middle of this, okay?
You already are, John. You already are.
Oh, well, then if that's the case, blame it all on me so she doesn't get mad at you. Tell her it's my fault. What do you think about today? What are you looking to see other than a bunch of beers in your near future? What do you want to see today?
I could care less about our skill guys. I personally think our skill guys are good. We need to get our offensive line firing out on the ball together, going the same directions instead of just splitting in the middle and letting whoever wants to come free right up the middle. I just need I just need them to all look like they're in sync today. And I think that's the only reason they even have Patterson starting today is because of that.
Yeah, there's just a lot of work to be done. And I just think that's why I'm wound a little tight. I'm all about getting Freeman his first win, and what a big deal that'd be. It's special at home, doing all that. I get all that. I'm here for that. But I need to see you put in work offensively. You gotta show something today. You have to.
Yeah. And on both sides. I mean, the defensive line has been talking trash for the last 2 months or month or whatever at least, and they look just almost as bad as the offensive line did last week against what I thought was going to be a suspect physicality-wise team in Ohio State. So they really need to come out and establish both sides of the ball today on the lines. I mean, you can't sit in the offseason and tell your fan base that the 2 most important parts of your team are going to be the lines, and then show up and neither line looks good in the first game. So now what are we hanging our hats on?
Right.
Not the offense.
Yeah. And see, that's why I'm in a weird place this morning, and that's why I'm slightly agitated already. You know what, though? I'm open to this being different under Freeman. I think I'm used to when it was Kelly and coming off a big emotional game like we came off of back home against a lesser opponent. I am predisposed to expect a little bit of a letdown and a little bit sluggish. I just don't think you could do that this week. I don't think you can afford that.
No, no, not at all. And the fact that there was any emotional games under Brian Kelly is a surprise to me.
Yeah, he never excelled at that. It's something I didn't feel that was an issue last week. I think we were prepared for the environment. And now I'm looking for different things this week. I'm looking for practical things. I'm looking for numbers this week. You have to get this offense developing.
Are you looking for numbers more in the run game or the pass game, or are you looking for one to set up the other, or just a major identity? I think we have an identity crisis right now.
I think the issue is they don't know what they can lean on right now. That's the issue. Like, you're bringing up a good point, but if you're trying to find an identity off what you're able to accomplish last week, then I guess you don't have an identity. Somebody stole your social security number because you weren't able to establish anything long enough to lean on it. So, yeah, you don't have an identity because you weren't good at anything last week. I need to see it all be better this week, and I need to see Buckner as the maestro orchestrating it all.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to get our running game going for the fact that, Jeremiah Love is in town this weekend. It'd be nice to show him that we have a great offensive line and are building an offense. We have all these recruits coming in. We have to get the offense going. I'd rather give up a couple of big plays on defense than have any lull in the offense today.
I totally agree with that. And the reason why is there's already a built-in some level of fundamental trust in what I'm going to get out of the defense. And that is something that the defensive unit at Notre Dame has earned the last 5 years. They've been the backbone of the program. So even if they gave up some uncharacteristic mistakes this week, then I'm going to reverse lean back on what they did against Ohio State to make me feel better in a way I can't do about the offense. So, but you know what, though? You do bring up a good point. With that defense, they gave up 21. Everybody in America is going to say that was a winning effort against Ohio State, and it was. However, if the offense is going to struggle this week, you need to get strip sacks, pick six, a sack for a loss of 8 every series. I got to see more havoc, especially if the offense isn't going to put up 40. I need the defense to do more. So get some turnovers today, tackles for loss.
Yeah, I think we can probably get tackles for loss in the run game today. I think sacks are going to be trouble. I think we're probably going to play more of a get your hands up on defense because it's such a quick hitting offense. Marshall runs. They'll dink and dunk you all the way down. And we have so many tall guys up front. I think they might actually move Riley Mills inside this week a little bit more and play kind of a taller interior. Chris Smith had a great game last week, but I think it's time we get a little taller in the middle and get our hands up this week because they're going to be they'll be getting rid of the ball in a second and a half. Coach Huff for Marshall is an amazing coach. I listened to him this week a couple of times. He's a great man, a great teacher, a great developer of young men, and he's going to have a good game plan, and he's going to get the ball out quick. If Ohio State's worried about our defensive line, I guarantee you Marshall, especially with their offensive line all being new basically this year, that I think it's going to be a lot of quick hitting stuff. The guy was 24 or 26 last week or something, and not even averaged more than like 8 or 9 yards a throw. So I think it's going to be it's going to be hard to get splash plays on defense today. But I think with our press coverage and getting those young guys out on the corners up on press, I think Marshall's going to have a hard time today, but it's going to be hard to get splash plays.
Yeah, and you have a good point, and that's really good coaching, to know Notre Dame's strength against your guys, get it out quick. That's a good way to negate that. I'm focused primarily offensively, and it doesn't need to be perfect today. I am even okay with you opening things up and trying them, even if they don't work today. You should have the flexibility to be able to do some of that. And I just want to feel like after this game, the offense accomplished something we could build on. And I do not feel that last week. So in a lot of ways, this is almost week 1 for the offense, because I don't feel like they advanced or accomplished much to build off of last week. So I really want to see that.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would put it. Even going into practice this week, okay, that was Ohio State's game plan, and now this is the new offense. This is what we're going to start as now. We tried it against Ohio State. It didn't work out how we thought it would. Our offensive line wasn't right up to it yet, but now everybody refocus and throw that game out. Offense, go out there. Let's do some levels. Let's see if we can get to the middle of the field, some crossing routes, get the outside involved, some tunnel screens, get the ball to our playmakers, and go. Tyler needs to I think he needs to settle down and not press. It seemed like he was pressing a little bit. After he went 8 for 8, he was great at the beginning. I was not worried at all, but then it seemed like some of the old habits were coming back with his throwing motions and everything, but I think Tyler is going to be great. I honestly do, first off. Second off, I think we just need to get the ball to our playmakers. Just get it outside. It's not the old Notre Dame team. We have speed out there. We have talent.
Yeah,
now.
Get it to them. Get it to them. Yeah. In the other, man, it's frustrating. And the big picture of this is, the overarching frustration with the whole dynamic is we all feel like Tyler Buchner should be further along his developmental path than he is right now. And it is not his fault that there was a COVID cancellation of a full season of his, an injury affected him. Then he didn't, he wasn't the starter last year. Like, I'm ready to get him developed. And so I'm just frustrated when we hit a little stumbling block, because we all think he should be further down that developmental track than he actually is. And that's an underlying frustration I've had since Buckner's joined the program.
Correct. Yeah, it's that whole COVID and everything. It seems like really stunted the progression of a lot of players in those years. And you can even see it in a lot of the offensive linemen now that are about that age. And I think that moving forward, everything will get better. I mean, I can't get any worse than last week. So I'm really excited. And John, let me tell you this, the girlfriend's makeup is done. We are getting ready to walk out, and we are going to the stadium, and I'm super excited.
Beautiful.
I just wanted to say congratulations to you on all of your success and everything. I mean, we all knew, all of your fans and everybody that listens to you knew it was just a matter of time. You have the best content. You have the best way of, your style, I guess, is the best out there. Everybody loves it. You have the passion for it, just like every other fan out there has it, and you express it in the way that we all want to. So that is awesome. And just keep doing what you're doing, and we all love it, and we're all here for it. And we just want to we're so thankful that you do it. Thank you so much, John.
I got to tell you, I really appreciate that. It means a lot. Thank you. There is no show. There is none of this without you guys. So I really appreciate that. Have fun today, and tell your girl she looks great, and get out there and have a beer.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
Have a good one. Enjoy the game. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Maybe she didn't hear any of that. If she was in there, the hair dryer was going or something, maybe she didn't hear that. He's going to get in trouble. I don't want to be a part of that. Don't hold me accountable. Mike, 3883. My bigger concern for Notre Dame's offense is adjustments. When things aren't working like you expect, the line's not getting pushed, how do you adjust? This is one of my issues from last week. It's one of my bigger issues from last week. It doesn't surprise anyone that Notre Dame tried to dial up some stuff, and Ohio State's really good, and then they adjusted, and Jim Knowles knows what he's doing, and he adjusted to try and adapt and stop it. Not a shock. That's what should happen. Jim Knowles is a big-time player in this game. He's been around a long time. So that shouldn't surprise you. it did surprise me that we didn't have an answer. Where was the pivot? It's the old, I'm sorry to have to do this to you guys. I really don't want to do this to you, but it's the Brian Kelly complaint. Football games, especially big ones, are one adjusting off adjustments. Who's going to make the best adjustments off the adjustments made on you? In the last 2 ball games, Notre Dame has not done that at all offensively. They have adjusted from getting worse. Like, what's your adjustment going into the second half? Whatever it was in the first half, worse. Doing worse. That's our adjustment. And quite frankly, I need more. If you're telling me our offensive coordinator's the next NFL genius whiz bang, then I need more. Adjust, Tommy. Adjust. It can't be an adjustment from bad to worse or decent to bad. No. It should get better in the second half. So that's what I need to see. What do we got here? If we only score 24 to 28 points but shut him out, is that acceptable? Here's my issue. My issue is more with the offense than the defense. So while I would appreciate a shutout today by our defense, that's not where I need to see most of the work getting done this week, if that makes sense. Like, we're not starting, in my opinion, with the offense and the defense at equal footing. And when they kick the ball off today, I'm not sitting there equally analyzing the offense and the defense through the same magnifying glass. I don't know how you guys watch and consume Notre Dame, but I'm telling you honestly, I'm not doing that today. I am not sitting there analyzing both these units the same. The defense is further along the path of where we want to be than the offense is. Therefore, I have more pressure on that offense. I need to see more for them today. They have more to prove to me to make me feel better about where this is all going than the defense does, is my point. That's my point. So I would love a shutout. That's beautiful. But I already think I know our defense is pretty good. I don't know if the offense is going to be able to score 2 touchdowns in a game this year. So I don't look at them the same. I need to see more. I have to be persuaded more by the offense than the defense. This is heading in a right direction. Back to the phones. 574.
Hey, John, how's it going?
How's it going? What's the vibe today in South Bend? Is it getting lively? The private planes flying into the airport there yet? Or what do we got going?
Well, I just got up. I'm looking out at my lovely backyard, and I'm looking at this amazing sunshine, and I'm thinking about one thing. We got to air it out long today.
Open it up. Open it up. It would make everybody feel better, including the players. Open it up. Today's the day.
Yeah, because if Marshall can't even back up and our receivers are 10 yards past them, we should just throw it out long to them today. I mean, it should be easy touchdowns. Just throw it out long. I mean, we just have to hope we can stop that runner because Marshall has one good runner, but they should just let Buckner air it out today.
I think it would do everybody a lot of good. For one, the fan base. Nobody should care about me. I'm just the guy in his basement who yells about football. But it would make the fan base obviously feel a lot better if the offense had a good day. But these players need the confidence. Tyler Buckner needs the confidence. Those young receivers, get them involved today. Like your next 2 games are an opportunity to build that confidence in your young team. And I really need Notre Dame to focus on doing that.
Oh, yeah. This is the first game of our revenge tour from last week. I mean, this is what it really should be the mindset of going into the game. This is our revenge tour. You know what?
I like that you put it that way. It's actually, that's really good. Well stated, because one of the bullet point notes, I got up early today. I was thinking, what's really on my mind, And I wrote down on my notes, kind of a clean slate is what I wrote down, meaning Last week was last week, and it had all the complexities and the unique dynamics involved in everything that was. This is kind of a clean slate. You come back home, everybody's excited to be there. They're going to be welcoming, beautiful weather. Like, it's a clean slate. Get Marcus his first win in front of the home crowd. Score 42, 40 something points, make everybody feel better. And I think we're all in a better mood for Cal next week.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's excited for Cal. I mean, they freaking had a hype video in the offseason about the green jersey game, but I was worried about this game right here because you got to stop that running back and you got to get the crowd into this game and not think about next week.
Man, the issue, could you imagine? I was thinking about this after the offensive output last week. Could you imagine if we struggle like the first half and have like 3 or 6 points or something? People are going to be booing at halftime of Marcus Freeman's first home game. People are going to be booing if we have like 7 points. It can't happen. Open it up today for my hairline and my blood pressure. Open this offense up, please.
Oh, I know, because imagine if they didn't score 7 points. Imagine if I have to sit in the car on the way back and listen to Reggie Brooks on the radio. They're going to be talking about benching Tyler Buchner when it was really Tommy Reese's play calling.
See, that's another thing I don't want to get into. Like, that's another reason I'm saying you got to get some rhythm going offensively today, because you don't want to start those conversations. You don't want to start having those issues week 2, week 3. The other thing is, if it's that rough offensively for Buchner, it's going to be that rough for Pine too. Like, if the offensive line can't do anything for Buchner, I don't have confidence Pine would be able to navigate it any better because he has less physical gifts than Buchner. So you have no option but to get it together this week. Get it together offensively. I need it.
Oh, yeah. And all I know is the offensive line better play well, because Tyler Buchner, if you saw this on the TV broadcast, he was hobbling on that leg. I'm like, you got to hope he plays well today. You got to protect Tyler Buchner, because we saw he had leg issues. That's because he played 2 seasons in 2020 because of COVID.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's an ongoing frustration I have with Buchner, is I want his development to be further down the path, and it's just not, and it's nobody's fault. Let me ask you, living local, how is that on game days? Like, as a Chicago guy, I don't know what it's like. I either rent an Airbnb or drive in the morning for the games. How is it when you live there and you wake up and there's the hustle and bustle of a Notre Dame home game? What does that feel like?
Well, it's pretty normal. It's like a small town. It feels like a small town on Thursday. And then when I get up and go to the bookstore where I work at Notre Dame on Friday, it's a completely different world. Everyone's there. It's all the tourists from Chicago that come up, and it's a zoo. And we make so much money in just those 2 days a year, and that funds the entire year for our town.
Wow. Yeah, it's cool though how South Bend has that small community feel, and then a handful of times a year it's the epicenter of the Midwest, with 150,000 people. Oh man.
It's a great town to live in. If you love Notre Dame, this is just the town to be in.
Yep. And you know what else? They're developing a lot, man. Every time I get into town, there's something new that's nice. It's nice. What they did with Eddy Street Commons and all that, it's pretty nice now. I like it.
Oh, and if you drive down State Road 23 now, they're starting to put up these apartments. And we live close to Notre Dame, and our house is worth $100,000. But they're putting up these condos that are worth $2 million. And it's like, just buy a house in one of the neighborhoods and fix it up.
Yeah, geez. Oh, so what do you think happens? What's your score prediction today? Give it to me. What do you think?
If they run my strategy, we should win this game 41-7.
There you go. I love that. You're in the 40s, and then that means the defense does well too. I absolutely love that. So that's what I want to see. I think that's beautiful.
You need to get a touchdown. You need to get a stop, and just take Marshall out of the game so they don't want to come back here.
There you go. Beautiful. Love it. Well, enjoy the beautiful sunshine in South Bend. Thanks for the call. And I love your prediction. I hope that's what we see.
I hope that's what we see too, John. Have a great day.
You too. Take care. Yeah, it's always nice to have some boots on the ground local to South Bend. I always wonder what that'd be like to be able to just wake up and roll out of bed and walk to your tailgate and you're right there. That's beautiful. What else do we have in the chat here? 818, you're coming up in a minute. You're next. Josh Miller, $10. Thanks for taking my call. Go Irish. Anytime, Josh. That was a fantastic call. I appreciate it. I just hope your girlfriend doesn't break up with you over what we had to discuss. Why is Notre Dame still making us buy a mini package to see Clemson when the Marshall game is already sold out? Exact reason you can't have a rocking stadium like Penn State. Listen, you guys, I don't like it either. It's just the way it is with money and the way things are now. But the fact that you couldn't just log in and if you want to buy Clemson tickets, because that's the week you could come in town, log in, buy tickets for Clemson, pay whatever they're asking, and get your tickets to Clemson. But no, it isn't like that. So you got to get a ticket package, and then you have to sign up for other games you may not even be able to make it to just to be able to have the tickets for Clemson. It's a bit much. It rubs me the wrong way. It just does. That's nickel and dime in your own fan base. I don't like it. I didn't like it when they changed the ticket pricing. Remember when they announced a few years ago, they announced we're going to go ahead and redo the ticket pricing structure. And the idea was they were saying we're going to make it more affordable, kind of like a family section, up there with affordable pricing for the lower level games and all that. And I'm thinking, wow, maybe this will benefit me. Let's see what happens with the tickets I have access to. I'm going to tell you what happened. Overnight, they doubled from $150 to $300 a ticket. I didn't get any added value, but overnight, my ticket prices doubled. Doubled. Now, I know I was in what's considered premium seating, not because I'm fancy, but just because I know the right people for that. So that meant that the tickets I get that I usually pay face value for, no big deal, $150 times 2 or times 4. Bam! Overnight, $300 doubled. Doubled. That's a big deal when you don't get anything else out of it. That seat was $150 one day and then $300 the next for no reason. Nothing changed. So I don't like the way they extort you either. And here's the other thing, and this is just me. I like that they have the lower ticket pricing for like families and stuff on the lower level games. But I'm telling you, a big part of Notre Dame fanhood for a lot of people is, a nice dad from the Chicago suburbs wants to bring his 11-year-old son to their first Notre Dame game. They don't have $1,000 to be able to do it. Just make it affordable for a normal, regular dad to bring their kid and experience Notre Dame without breaking the bank. Come on, man. We're Notre Dame. You don't need every nickel that damn bad. I know you don't. Pedal to the metal, don't let up. Roy boy, you have to do that. This offense needs to gain confidence. They're behind. You don't have the luxury to not go pedal to the metal today. You don't. You don't. I'm sorry. I'm a little agitated. Let's see what else we got in the chat. I personally don't want to see Pine. He's not the future of Notre Dame football. We can't make... Yeah. Yes. You're right. And it's like, no, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm looking at talent. I'm not trying to be a jerk. If you're looking at Buckner and Pine, there's a reason Buckner got the job over Pine. He has a higher level of possible physical gifts and capabilities than Pine. That is not like an offense to anybody. It's just a fact based on physical gifts. That's like, it's like, oh, you're being mean to Pine. That's like being like looking at me and LeBron James and being like, well, one's probably better than the other based on physical gifts. I'm not offended. It's a fact. Buckner has more physical gifts. So when if the offense ever runs the right way, theoretically, you should get more out of it with Buckner than you would Pine. The other thing that isn't an issue with Buckner, it ain't. Buckner's not going to be overwhelmed by a big moment. He ain't. California cool, Joe cool, stays level just like me on this show, level all the time, never too high or low. Moments aren't going to be too big for him. So it's going to come down to the physical stuff and the mental stuff of reading the game. But the moments are not going to be too big for him. If the moment last week wasn't too big for him, nothing else will be. Won't. Nick Dean, Uber on the way. Got to go, John. Wearing my always Irish hat in the bend. Represent, Nick. Represent. I hope you have a great time. Sun should be out. Look at that sun reflecting off that dome. There's nothing like it when you're in town. Nothing. Last game was the Wake game. Me and the wife dropped 400 for 2 ticks. Loved it, but not cheap. Yeah, I mean, the problem is that's Wake. Like, that's the thing, too. You got it. There's certain games I'll pay to see. Bush push, sure, I'll pay whatever it is. Wake, that don't do much for me. I ain't excited about Wake. I'm just not. What else do we have? USC game was reasonable last year, but had to stay 35 minutes away. You know what? I'm going to tell you what I did. It's US last year. Night game, USC. It's going to be hard to get tickets, all that stuff. I waited 2 days before the game, went online and bought them for face value from the Notre Dame app and had no issues. So I don't know what happened, but I had a bunch of people coming into town. We had a house. We didn't know if everybody was going to go to the game. Some people had tickets. Some didn't. What we were going to do. 2 days before the game, I just went online and bought them face value. They really weren't that much for that. So I don't know how that worked out, or maybe I bought them for somebody else and I'm misremembering it. I don't know. 818, your ideas are great. You're on the air, 818. Good morning.
Don't do this to me, Harry. Don't do this to me, Harry.
Don't do it to me 2 weeks in a row. Don't do it. I'll give you one. Don't do it to me 2 weeks in a row, Harry. Run the ball and move people. Look what you started. I was doing good. Look what you did this. Look what you started. Why are you trying to get my blood pressure cranked up?
Oh, man. Yeah, I know. And, John, I wanted to backtrack. I just had to do that. That was
look, because you knew it would trigger me.
Talk a little bit. What's that?
You knew it would trigger me. Good job.
Oh, yeah. John, I want to talk a little bit, because I heard the other caller talking about it. You mentioned a little bit about the development around South Bend. And, I'm getting ready to move. I was born and raised here. I was 13 years old, and they won the national title in '88. So I did get to see all that. I remember being on campus for the Florida State game the night before. I just went there on my own to be around it. And it was such an amazing feeling around campus. I'm just taking a trip down nostalgia lane right now. But thinking about, earlier this summer, June 25th, I went to go see the Billy Joel concert at Notre Dame Stadium. And I was so impressed with what they've done acoustically. And I just kept thinking to myself, and I know some of these developments have been made in the past 2 years, but I haven't been to inside the stadium in a while. And I was just super impressed with that. So I'm really curious to see. Now, today maybe won't make as big of a difference because it's Marshall. But as we get to the Clemson game and just moments in the game where we need the crowd to get loud, I'm really curious to see, you hear it on the TV and whatnot. But all I'm saying is I'm really impressed with what they've done acoustically at Notre Dame Stadium to give it more of a home field advantage. Now, like you said, if they just they're getting better, you're definitely seeing more access in the stadium than you did before. But I definitely agree with you on that wine and cheese crowd thing. Stop being so damn greedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Stop being so damn greedy.
I'm gonna say this: it's Notre Dame Stadium's never going to be as intimidating of a home environment as I want it to be ever. And when you ask why, some of it is as simple as the Notre Dame crowd is going to be a unique one in certain ways for a lot of the reasons Notre Dame's unique. You're never going to have that, Penn State environment like Wisconsin, LSU at night. You're not going to have that. But I will say this, they are making a conscious effort to raise the volume in there. And I do notice it and I do appreciate it. Now, some of the blaring, pounding, hip hop / techno, whatever it is that I don't even know what it is. Here I'm showing my age as the old guy. I don't care for, but whatever. If it makes the whole place louder, go for it. So they are trying. It is getting better. Obviously, a night game against a hated opponent is going to be louder than a day game against Marshall, but they are making efforts and it is improving slightly.
Yes, I do agree. I was last night I was working at my restaurant and a bunch of people from Marshall came in and I got a little confused at first because they're wearing green too. But I got to tell you, they were fun people. Rowdy, a very rowdy crowd in a good way. Very nice.
That's good. Lively. That's exactly what you want.
Fun talking to them. I served a group of people that were 8 of them were Notre Dame fans and the other 7 were Marshall fans. They were sitting in separate tables. It's pretty awesome.
That's perfect.
But, okay, so as far as the game and just a couple thoughts that came to my mind. I wanted to push back a little bit on the defensive line not playing well. I disagree, and here's why. There was nobody, stood out in terms of statistics. But I'm sorry. I heard a lot of people last week, not necessarily just on your show, saying the front 7 didn't play well. I'm like, I'm sorry. If the front 7 didn't play well, there's no way they would only give up 21 points. You can't just put everything on the back 4 and expect them to play that great. Even though the back 4 won the day in terms of being the best unit, I just don't think that anybody had any real showy statistics. But I do think that the entire defense played well. There's no way you couldn't. Also, in the fourth quarter, they got wore down.
Yeah.
And John,
they
can only stick around a 10-7 lead for so long. I mean, when I was getting close to late in the third quarter and Ohio State got that drive where they finally scored at the end, I'm like, well, of course they did. You can't keep a 10-7 lead over a team like this and expect to maintain it. And but going back to the line, I just need to see them, just like everybody's been saying, just enforce your will, for God's sake. Let's see some progress. Maybe it is Patterson. Maybe that's the biggest difference, and maybe we'll see some of that today. But anyway, just want to get your thoughts on that, John. Did you really think that? I just thought that the line got a little bit of the defensive line got a little bit too much slack for not playing well, and I just kind of disagree with that. I know they did in the fourth quarter, but they got wore down, man.
Yeah, nope. You bring up some really good points, and you bring up one of the key points to the day for me in terms of how I'm going to consume and watch this ball game. And the point you bring up is exactly where I'm at. I feel like I'm not looking at the offense and defense the same way today. When we're looking at the defense improving from last week, you're getting into some nitpicky stuff because they did a pretty darn good job. So like I'm building in for that defense. They did enough to win the game last week. We have complaints about the third down blitz and the blown coverage on the open guy on the first touch. Fine. But 21 against that team is a winning effort. That is more than a winning effort. So I am being
even on that double blitz play, John. Even on that double blitz play, well, I heard a lot of people again on some of the national news saying what a terrible call was. Well, I see their point because it didn't work. But had those safeties got a slightly quicker jump on the ball, which they probably should have. And I gotta say, man, the defensive back, I can't remember who was covering him, but a hell of good coverage. Good coverage. The guy just, it was just a perfect pass. The receiver made a perfect slant, and it was a perfect play by Ohio State. So, I would have probably kept one safety back, but nevertheless, and that's the thing. They actually didn't blitz that much during the game. That was one of the few times that I can remember that they actually blitzed. But one other thing, John, and I'll let you go. I do have a surprise for you next week when you come to the stadium. A slight surprise.
Oh, boy.
Meet up for this tailgate.
I
don't even want to tell you what it is. I've been working on this for a while. So we'll anyway. But one last thing, I'll let you go. Offensively, and again, it was brought up earlier. Come on, man. You got Chris Tyree. You got Braden Lindsey. Apparently, Merriweather, is very fast too. you know, you don't have to necessarily throw the ball in post patterns all the way downfield, although I wouldn't mind that, you know. But come on, I mean, how about some rocket bubble screens or something like that with Tyree or Lindsey or some end around?
We gotta bring it to life. Give some guys some confidence. Man, it's like Notre Dame has some athletes with some jitterbug in them, with some moves in space in them now. Like, find ways to get these guys the ball, and I think we'll like what happens after that, especially against the next two opponents. I just want to see that momentum built. I want to see that confidence gain, not for us. Who cares about me? But for the guys, the players need to feel that. And so I really want to
care about you, John.
Yeah. Thanks. About you. Thank you.
We need to see that blood pressure come down just a little bit.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
For both of our sakes.
Yeah, exactly. But like for the guys, I just want to see some momentum gained and find some footing where you could build off it. And that what I really like is this 2-game bridge, because you have Marshall and then you have Cal, where you could build off hopefully what you instill against Marshall. So there's a little path here for us to feel a lot better about this. But you bring up a good point, man. That defensive line, I think people expected more pressure from the front four on the stat sheet than what we got. I think that's where you're seeing some of that critique. People expected more numbers.
No, I agree.
They wanted numbers out of that front four.
Absolutely. I'm just pushing back that they didn't play well. They played well.
That's a winning job. 21 points. Nobody's going to hold Ohio State to 21 this year. Do you see anybody? I do not see anybody holding them to that number all year.
Honestly, I would not be a bit surprised if at the end of the year 21 is Ohio State's lowest point.
Me too.
I'd be kind of surprised if it's not.
Me
too.
Be
surprised if it's not.
I think they're going to hang on. They're going to hang in the 40s most weeks. I'm dead serious. And some of the defenses.
And how about in the 50s against Michigan? For God's sake, I would love to see that at the end of the year. Michigan just completely. By the way, John, one last point I just thought of.
Yeah.
I just looked up last night the schedule strength of Notre Dame going into week 2. Number 2 in the country right now.
There you go, man. But Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. You know that. Notre Dame doesn't play nobody.
I know. I heard some people say, "Oh, they don't play any." I'm like, do you realize that because I remember last week, I think it was the number 8 schedule according to whoever. And then after the first week, it's now rated number 2 next to Oregon.
Yeah, and it's
by the way, guess where Michigan is? Guess where Michigan's scheduled is?
Well, they play high schools for the first month and a half of the year. They do. They play they do.
78.
Oh, their schedule
strength. If Notre Dame played a schedule strength of 78, they would be they'd be the ire of every pundit in the media.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It's frustrating.
I don't know. John, I'll see you next week. I'll text you before the tailgating day, and we'll figure it out.
For sure. We'll meet up for sure. But text me, and then we'll get it going.
All right, John. Have a great day, man. Go Irish.
Go Irish. Thanks for the call, Rodney. Let's go back to the chats. That's a good call. Trying to get Johnny's blood pressure cranked up. Mike says it's week 2. Marshall sluggish is okay as long as you win. You have a lot of new pieces that might not mesh week 2 like you want. Get the growing pains out today. Mike, I get that sentiment. My only pushback to that would be that's what last week was for, right? Like, that's the frustration here. How far down the road do I need to kick this? I thought last week was the week where I said you're going against a hard opponent. It might be hard to get stuff done. That's what this week's for. I can't just keep kicking development and results down the road. That's the issue. I can't just keep kicking it down the road. Well, we'll see this genius 60-point Tommy Rees-led offense win sometime. I need to see something. Boy wonder, boy genius, Tommy, open it up. We need to see something. This is Notre Dame. Have an offense. What else do we have? Homer TD as a new ND fan. There isn't a lot of new ND fans. That's interesting to me. That's very intriguing as a new ND fan. I don't hear a lot of that. A lot of these people are born miserable from birth like myself. No option. However, I do hear what I've always thought about Domer fans through the last 30 years, a bit of a pessimistic attitude. Homer, here's the easiest way I could explain it. If you have found a negative Notre Dame sentiment the last 30 years surrounding Notre Dame football, there's a good reason for that. There's a really good reason for that. We have not won anything that matters in those 30 years. That's the reason, man. Especially if you are a newer Notre Dame fan or just recently bought in or anything. Those 30 years are reflecting the results. Like, people have a negative reaction to it because we literally have not won anything good in 30 years. So my entire cognitive existence has been Notre Dame failing in the big moment. I know my history, my dad and my grandpa and everybody, I know the history. I listened to my grandpa talk about the days of Frank Leahy and what that was like. We're a long way from that. So in my 30 years of cognizant memory, Notre Dame's been nothing but pain and disappointment. And I love it, and I can't get enough, and I want more. But that's why you have that negative sentiment. Nothing good's happened in 30 years. I don't know what else to say. Mike Sloan, longtime guy. Thanks for being around, Mike. It's not just for the fans team. If ND wants to be feared and respected as legit, the committee and the country needs to see it. Mediocre play ain't helping get to the playoffs. On that one, yes or no? Follow me here. Yes or no? On that one, if you win today, no matter what it looks like, you're probably going to be pretty okay in the rankings. Maybe it's just more for me and my comfort level with the team moving forward that I want to see offense today. Offense. And by that, I don't mean I'm offended by what I see. I need to see some offense, man. Jaded Clay, do not mistake realism and experience for pessimism. I'm sorry, you guys. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but like, my age range has never seen Notre Dame win anything. Even the last major bowl win, what was it, 92, 93, right? I don't remember that. I would have been like 7 or 8 years old. So, like, people need to realize if you're a newer fan or if you're an older fan, at least you saw the good years before all that last 30 years. But it's like, you need to understand, I'm a diehard Notre Dame fan in a family where all the older relatives saw all the good years. And when we were winning and had all that pride and we were the best. And then right when John comes into his own, we never win anything. It's brutal. It's brutal. Back to the phone. 707, talking to you's like being in heaven. You're on the air. 707, good morning.
Hey, John. Can you hear me?
I can. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm kind of my thoughts about playing Buckner the whole game. I think that we're going to win this pretty easily. So I kind of want to see Buckner get a good, 3 quarters. If we're up like 28-0, if we're up 28-7, you got to play him in the fourth. But if we're up 28-0, like I predict we're going to win 38-10. Okay.
Okay. And I like that. I like that. That's a good range.
Yeah. And if he gets, 4 touchdowns, generates 4 in 3 quarters, there's no guarantee that he's the future. If he gets hurt, we don't know what we have, right? So
yeah.
For my thinking is let him go out on a positive note, build some confidence. He generated a win. He did well, through 3 quarters. And again, if we're up like 28-0, if it's 28-7, you got to play him.
Yeah,
it's not over.
But I'm fine with that because I don't want this to get into being reckless with Buckner's health to make John feel better in his basement, like about the offense. If they do enough through 3, God bless you. If you got 38 points or 40 something, go ahead, Buckner, take your helmet off, take a rest. But I'm only okay with that if I see enough from the offense. I feel like they accomplished a lot today.
Right. But this is the typical game that Rees will shine because it's not a pressure game and it's not a lot of marbles on the line. But, on the other hand, if they lose this, they're going to go for Freeman's head already.
Oh my God. Well, that's the issue. But don't even, man, my blood pressure just shot up from that. Just hearing that put me in the hospital. Like, but here's the way I've been saying it earlier in the week. I said this. Those first 2 games of the Freeman era both had very weird dynamics where it kind of knocked some of the pressure off. The bowl game was incredibly bizarre with the timing and all that. And the staff in flux and all the weirdness with the timing. Then you have Ohio State, and it was its own beast because of everything wrapped into the dynamics of it. Notre Dame fans were kind of understanding of the unique chaos of both of those events. That's all gone. You don't have that now. Now you're playing Marshall at home. Like, you don't have any leeway now. Like, it really, you don't. Like, those gimmies are over. You need to win today, baby.
Yeah. But, in going back to the Ohio State, I'm basically over it. But one of the things I thought about that was that, Notre Dame's defense really played well. Sans Cam Hart, I don't think he had a very good. I think he was the worst on the team on that day. But I've had issues with him before. But their defense, I wound up getting a lot of respect for Ryan. Is it Day? Is Ryan Day?
Yeah.
The coach?
Yep.
Yeah, because, he really took that game to where he was forced, and he did the right thing by playing field position because he saw that Notre Dame came out hard on defense. And so he was playing field position. Like, it was 4th and 1 and 4th and 2 right around midfield. He was afraid to go for it. And that I grew respect for him for that because he knew this was going to be a pretty good game the way it was shaping up,
Yeah. And it's, Ryan Day gets maybe unfair in a way because of the program Ryan Day inherited and where it was at and the success of it. I think some people maybe downplay what a good, leader Ryan Day is. And I could actually argue.
I agree.
And I could actually argue in recruiting this. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Ohio State's recruiting's actually gotten better since the other guy left that everybody wanted at Notre Dame forever. He left. The recruiting's actually gotten better. And so Ryan Day deserves a ton of credit for that. And you know who else does too? Brian Hartline. He is a magnificent recruiter. And Marcus
they talk about him.
Yeah, Marcus.
Behind the scenes,
Marcus reached out to him when he got the job and kind of felt it out. Like with Laurinaitis, that one did work out where he joined Notre Dame, but that's a guy that Freeman put the feelers out to. So Hartline, Alford, all those guys, they're doing a great job there. It's a very well-run program. And listen, if I had to have another program be elite and it isn't going to be us, I kind of do like the fact that there is a Northern Midwestern presence in this discussion. I want it to be us, but I at least like that there's one of them.
Well, anything to take down those pompous SEC people. I mean, they just expect that they are the greatest and they've been the greatest for 15 years and it'll never change and all this. So, yeah, in that respect, I mean, I just can't root for Ohio State. I mean, I'm choosing Michigan right now when they play their game. I don't care what their record is going to be. That's how I feel about Ohio State. But I do see what you're saying with knocking that SEC down a peg,
Yeah. And, but it's, I don't know, man. It's every week has a different flavor in college football. That's why I love it. And it gets my heart going in a way the NFL doesn't. Every week tells
let me
different
ask you this,
story.
John. Do you know what the actual total yardage was for Ohio State?
Oh, I don't have that. I don't remember what it was. I don't think it was
outrageous.
outrageous.
It was like around 350.
I think it was more than that.
Sound close?
I think it was a little more than that, but I don't think it was anything that would register to me as being ridiculous, or over the top.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Notre Dame's defense credit because if they take away that 87-yard drive, they had 47 plays for the game, the offense, and take away that one drive. I mean, their defense was basically on the field all day, and then if they only yielded 21 points and maybe 350, 375 yards, I mean, I don't know what the yardage was. But for all the time they saw the field and Notre Dame's defense was on the field, 47 plays for a game is just.
Somebody put
380
in the chat. Somebody must have looked it up. Put 380.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, that's a pretty good outing for Notre Dame's defense, going out to the shoe and having no offense. And, these guys stepped up. In fact, if you take away Cam Hart, he got beat so many times. I mean, it's a toss up on that game.
Yeah, it's going into today. I am not looking at the offense and defense under the same microscope. I am simply not. To me, the defense has proven more, not just last week, but the last few years. And I'm more open to them giving up a big play today because I just trust them overall more in a way I can't with the offense. So I just, with Patterson in there, maybe the offensive line looks way better right away. Just Patterson's in there. And you're not playing Ohio State and it looks functional today. Can I hope for that? Is that fair?
Yeah, they have to look better. I mean, they can't look much worse, right?
Just give me some rhythm. You know what I mean? That look of an offense that's clicking down the field and there's rhythm and there's timing and it all works and it just flows. And the defense is getting frustrated and worn down. Like, I miss that from Notre Dame. I need to have that feel.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, this game will show a lot about how Harry can get them back into a rhythm on offensive line, because having Patterson back should be much more beneficial. But I'm still, I'm not taken by Harry coming back yet. He hasn't shown me anything yet. They were terrible last week. I mean, 47 plays,
Yeah, it was the offensive line was my number one biggest disappointment of the night. I expected it to be a struggle against Ohio State. I did not expect 270 yards rushing, but it also couldn't be what it was. It couldn't be double digits. Get serious. That is an unserious effort on an elite game stage.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know. There wasn't even that many sacks, was there? How many times did Buckner get?
I don't think so. I don't think that was the issue. It was just playing in a box with no time to figure anything out for 4 hours.
Yeah, I don't understand that either because that guy Knowles, he was playing, most of the time it was 7 and with stunts, so you had to be able to look to see Tyree out in the flat, like fake estimate the other side and then just throw it out in the flat where you got Fisher blocking for you on the other side and maybe Bauman on a double tight end set,
Yeah.
I mean, they could have done a lot of little quick screens and outs to really negate that.
Now,
you
know what I was told? You know what I was told this week? Yeah, I found this to be interesting. And I might have been listening to another Notre Dame show. They were saying that from the practice sessions in fall camp, it came up that there isn't a lot of comfort and confidence in Tyler Buckner throwing some of those little screen passes yet. And I heard multiple people say that they didn't feel that confident in him doing that. And I remember that also being talked about with Ian Book for a while, that they didn't have the most confidence with him swinging those balls out there with the right touch. That surprises me a little bit. I wouldn't think those little swing passes or screens are that complicated, but maybe I'm wrong. But I heard that brought up.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, I mean, then that's what you practice every week, double. If that's it, because that's a big part of a game. Those quick outs, if you have speed,
they add up.
You got to practice it.
Yeah, they add up
fast. You got to make it better.
Yeah, those yards add up fast too. So maybe that's a work in development. Today's a good day to try it. Get Tyree out there, whip him the ball, give him a little blocking, see what happens. I think you'll like the result.
Yeah, and I'd also like to see Lindsey step up, and so far to me, he's been all talk for 4 years, especially this year coming out how great he says he feels and all this and that. It's like, what? You caught one pass,
It's very frustrating. I have been frustrated with his career the entire way. And I'm not trying to when you say that, it comes off wrong. Like you're blaming a player for injuries. Like I get that that's how it comes off. It's just an overall frustration. And he's fast. And I just feel like we could have better uses for him or more uses for a guy that fast. I tried to get behind the defense once last week. Throw a deep bomb to Lindsey as far as you can. Rip the top off. I don't know, but I want to see it.
Absolutely. You know, if he's that fast, send him every play so that you at least have to have other people. It starts out with one guy and maybe two guys. The safety has to come over, you know, and that way you're taking out two guys with one guy that's not doing much, but at least he's presenting the threat.
And
so
if you
use
did
him in that respect, just send him deep every play so you have a little advantage of the rest of the field.
I would have done that a couple times last week. Even if you don't hit it, it's almost mission accomplished because you're still at least making sure they don't creep up on you, and you're spreading them out a little bit. So those are some of the things I want to see this week. Now that you don't have to be perfect, theoretically, you shouldn't have to be perfect to win it. What else are you watching this week? Does Baylor, BYU interest you as a future opponent in Baylor? Is Alabama, Texas anything other than on paper big brand names? What else are you looking at?
I think I got about 4 games I'm taping, so I don't remember what they are.
Yeah, work your way through them later.
But I want to see USC and Stanford. I want to see what USC has. You know, I don't really know them yet. Everybody's new there.
I know. I don't think Notre Dame. My problem with that is it's annoying to me because USC Stanford is not a primetime matchup, and they're getting the primetime billing on the game of the week tonight. And USC is going to run a 7-on-7 practice squad out there, probably throw it all over on Stanford. And I have to hear USC's back. That's how that's going to go. I'm predicting it now.
Well, not only that, but they're both on the schedule, right? So it'll be good to see what they got.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll actually be in town back for the Stanford game, and it's going to be I'll be back for that, and I expect you to beat their ass. I need it. I don't have the patience for it. Stanford's a team on the downswing. You need to take care of it. Wipe that smirk right off David Shaw's stupid face.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Well, I think we're going to be much better at the end of the year than, you know, what we always show. It seems like we always do this in the beginning. We still don't know if the right players are in the right positions and this and that, you know. So I think we're going to still struggle with that. But who knows? Maybe Marcus Freeman has a better clue than Kelly did, because it seemed like we were disorganized, you know, for the first 2 or 3 games last year too, right?
Yep, and that is a big thing I'm looking at. Just like the challenge last week was, we all wanted to see if they entered that Ohio State environment mentally and emotionally and physically ready to play. Now is a different challenge. It's a different challenge this week. You don't have the fanfare of Ohio State. You're coming off a loss. You have a lot to prove. And that's the challenge this week. I want to see him come out ready to go, mad about last week right away.
Right. I agree totally.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for the call. Really enjoy it. All your calls are fantastic. Call again and enjoy all your ball games today.
Thanks, John, and go Irish. Go
Irish. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Oh, what else do we have? I think the stats was pressure on 40% of drops way high. I think it was 42% of dropbacks. Buckner was being pressured. How do you expect a guy to operate like that? Like, that's the other part of this problem, guys. This is the other thing. It's connected. It's the other part of this. I'm having a hard time taking what we saw against Ohio State and being like, is this all on Buckner? Well, I don't know if it's all on Buckner. I don't, because the line didn't do a good enough job. I don't know if the receivers could get open. It's a really hard gauge. It's a very hard gauge. All right. It's tough. It's tough. We're going to go to 719. You're on the line.
Hey, John. I don't want to be as pessimistic as everybody has been, but that's just how we are, right? As Notre Dame fans, we've always been raised like that.
I mean,
cautiously pessimistic.
Listen, man, I don't want to be that way, but I can only reflect what I've seen in my life. Like, I don't have anything else to go off of unless it's in a history book. Like, I have to go by what I've seen.
Yeah, we can't help it. That's how we are. That's why we're Irish fans. If we weren't that way, we wouldn't be one. We would be rooting for somebody else, right?
I mean, listen,
But
man,
I want to say,
I love the pain. I love the pain. It's who I am and I'm here for it. I love it. It's my own fault. I sign up for it, but it keeps me going. I love it. Wouldn't trade it for anything.
exactly. I don't want to be an apologist, but I feel like I think we need to understand where Tommy Rees has been in Notre Dame. And he's like one of those like dogs that you pick up at the pound that's malnourished, has been treated badly, and you bring him home. And it takes a little while to get them to come out of their shell. And then you look at 6 months later when you give them like a loving home and you give them what they need, and then they blossom. And I think he's still, like a lot of things in our program, I think is still under that like stupor of Kelly, right? The swamp thing left his swamp gas on everybody, and we're still trying to clear it out. And I think maybe the last piece is coming home. Marcus's first Notre Dame stadium start. Like maybe this is where we truly like, because what happened last year with Kelly? We play these teams that we should blow out, right? We should be beating 60-0. And we hit 35 or 32 or something, and then we stop, right? We let off the gas, we cruise through the fourth quarter. Sometimes they come back into the game, and we have a Toledo or we have a Florida State game, and we're nail biting at the end for no reason. But we never just kept the pedal down. And it's not about sportsmanship and this and that. I mean, hey, you want to run with the big boys. Sometimes you play a team and you get blown out. Marshall comes in here, you know what you're signing up for. We weren't signing up. There wasn't a gentleman's agreement at the beginning, like, hey, first to 21 wins. No, man, we're playing 4 quarters. And I think this is where we do it. This is where Marcus shows not that he's a jerk and he's, trying to beat on people, but hey, if you want to get to the top, you're going to have to step all over some people, and you can't take everybody with you. We can't lift every one of our opponents up and make them feel good about themselves. Because, when Alabama plays, South Central High School, they don't let up on them. They run that score up, and that's what we're going to do. The defense is going to do what they need to do. And I think this is where we really push things. I think Harry, needs to get things together. But I also think that Harry's level of performance that he's getting to these guys too, they haven't had to deal with. We know that last year the line struggled. But I think what Harry's bringing in, and again, I'm not going to be an apologist, but I definitely think the standard that he's bringing, it's going to take a little time for these boys to get it together. Now, I think it should look much better today, and I'm glad that we have these 2 weeks, like you said. UNC maybe not be what we thought they were going to be, but I think by that time, we should be running all cylinders. And it's hard to start out at Ohio State, and I'm not super excited that we lost. But again, like you have said, we were expected to lose by how much? I looked up the stats. They scored 300, or they ran 395 yards. They averaged 596 last year. I'm not going to be surprised if they average that at least this year too. And I think we're going to keep them to the lowest yard total and the lowest points that they're going to score all year. I know right now it doesn't seem like a thing, but it's not the way you lose your game one. How many years have we seen these teams who are top 10, top 5, they lose the first week and then run the board, and then by the end of the year, everybody's praising them. And everybody has completely forgotten about the week 1 loss, and it's not a big deal by the time you get to, week 12.
Yep. Now,
so I think we're in a good position.
Let me tell you this. I'm going to give you credit here, my friend. This is a very level-headed comment. Very level-headed. And I need that sometimes because I run hot or cold. So very level-headed approach. I'm open to everything you're saying. It's just a matter of it all needs to start being shown today. We need to start seeing some of this. Like we do. Like
exactly.
There's no more excuses. There's no more Ohio State. There's no more weird bowl game. You weren't fully doing the prep for. No. That's all over. And now I need results. So is it fair that if I don't see good offensive output today, I can ride Reese? Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely.
Because what's your excuse today, right? If you couldn't do it today, what's your excuse today? You don't really have one to not do it today, is what I'm saying.
No. Then there's struggles, and I understand that. And like I said, I'm not trying to be completely apologetic. When he played quarterback, I'm right there with some of the frustrations we had. And that's okay. And we all have different strengths. And sometimes you become an NFL quarterback and you turn into, a Tom Brady, unfortunately, not that I'm, trying to give him praise, and then sometimes you're a middling backup guy. And sometimes you're a guy who's a flash in the pan and you play 1 year and then you never play in you just never know. But that's what I'm saying. As a coach, like we're all touting him and people have said, and I'm not going to act like I'm an expert and I ran the film and I looked at every single play and every single package and this and that. I mean, we're all fans, right? And there's a reason I don't have a show or a podcast or anything, because I probably have a very moderate idea about things. And yeah, we need people like you to raise that bar, to raise that level. Because if we all just told everybody it was okay, we would still have Brian Kelly, right? We would still pay him insane amounts of money to win a decent amount of games, but not win the big ones. And we would just kind of ride along life. But hey, if we want to get out of the middle of the river and climb up the banks and go do something great, you can't just float along, right? You got to put a motor on your boat, not just paddle. And that's what we've been doing.
Yep.
Paddling.
And I think
it's gotten us a decent way.
Here's the difference. The difference is I feel that under Marcus Freeman, I can see a light at the end of the tunnel that didn't exist under the way Kelly was running things. And that's encouraging. I can see that things are different. I can see the vision of all this. Now it's a matter of what is the time frame between me saying I could see that finished product vision. What are the time frames to get through the learning portion of all this to get there? And that's what I think we saw last week. I could see a lot of improvements from the Kelly era. I could see the final product, but how long is it going to take to get us there? And how hard is that bridge? That's where I spend a lot of time thinking these days.
Yeah, it's not easy. And like I said, and I'll tell you, the time frame is shorter because it's Notre Dame, because that's just our standards, right? We're a reason where we are. It's a reason why we're Notre Dame. It's a reason why we're the Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, Notre Dame.
It's the Notre Dame, yeah. So it's not a long time frame, but I everything that I see, and from people, looking at, reading articles, seeing people do interviews and stuff, ex-players, saying that there's just a different feeling, with him around, and watching, videos and Instagram, snippets and stuff, it feels different. They have these rallies, and I'd see Kelly at the rally, and he's standing there, like an angry little leprechaun that somebody took his pot of gold. Marcus is out there chanting and firing up the crowd just as much as the players are. He's setting this example, and when you walk into a business meeting and you sit in the corner and don't say anything, or you walk in and you give a great presentation, that's the difference between Kelly and Marcus. And that's, I think, you're shaking off the cobwebs, right? We're walking into this stuffy boardroom that Kelly never let any windows be opened into, and let's just all be quiet. Let's do what we need to do. And Marcus is coming in there with a game plan, right? And firing up the crowd and firing up the team. And I think that's what we need.
Yep.
When you look at other programs, and
I think it's going to pay off.
They're doing the same thing.
I think it's going to pay off.
And
I know other fan bases are already saying, John, your guy you're in love with is 0-2 and he can't figure it out. And it's, what do you got to say now? It's a bigger picture project than that with him. And I see these things and these markers and indicators that tell me this is the right vibe. It's just a matter of getting some things fine-tuned, getting the roster where he wants to get it, him getting his sea legs under him as far as decision-making as a head coach. It's a work in progress, but I can see where it's going, and it's a lot more exciting than before, where it wasn't going anywhere and there was not enough changes to make you feel like there was even a chance of it going anywhere.
Yeah, I think he's building a foundation for greatness to come. And you need to. And I think Kelly was climbing on the shoulders of giants and taking advantage of other people, and thinking, oh, I'm going to go the quick way and get there. And I think Marcus is building it right. And that's the foundation that I think we're only going to see a couple of years from now and realize that what we had for struggles.
Yep. I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I agree with you. I just think Notre Dame fans don't have a lot of patience, and I know I'm front and center with that. When this is the typical Brian Kelly afternoon home game, slow start, it's frustrating, but then Notre Dame wins by 10 or 13 and we all move on. Like, I'm not here for that. Notre Dame's bar now is getting towards elite. I need you to work it out today. And if Marshall needs to take a beating because of it, I'm sorry. But that's what needs to happen. And if not, and Marshall plays Notre Dame tough today, we're having a different program Monday. The Monday morning call-in, we're going to have a lot to go over if that happens. It can't be today. Can't be.
Yeah. No. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a college football game on the highest level. It's not Saturday morning 3 and 4 year old soccer where everybody's getting juice boxes and orange slices at halftime.
Can't have that today.
It's not what's going to be.
No, you can't today. That can't be, man. That just cannot be. So I don't know. I'm excited to see it. And I want to welcome Marcus home. I hope it's a big win. Get him that first win at home. And we all rally from there and then ramp it up against Cal next week. Take those lessons as we move to North Carolina and BYU. So I appreciate the call very much.
Absolutely.
And I hope you enjoy the ball game.
Thank you much. Go Irish. Our Lady of Victory, right?
Pray for us. Let's go, baby. Jacob Saylor, thanks for the $5. I appreciate that. Going to any games this year. John, we need to drop a 50 burger. No doubt. I need 40s I'm being honest. I need 40s today, at least with the first string. I need 40s to feel decent about this. I just do. Am I going to any games this year? I will be at the Cal game next week. I will be at the Stanford game, which is the reunion of the late 70s Notre Dame championship team. Going to do some of those activities for Stanford. And then I will be in town all weekend for Clemson. That's the one to hang out because I'll be in town Friday and Saturday, have a house, be able to make some moves Friday night. 872, we're talking to you.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you today? Where are you at? What's your mind like as this game's approaching?
Well, John, if you remember me, I'm the Michigan State man. I'm actually in South Bend with my girlfriend right now.
Beautiful. Welcome to sunny South Bend. Have yourself a day, my friend.
Yeah, her father got some Notre Dame tickets, some good seats, and it was like, hey, come down to the South Bend. So we was like, all right. So I'm about to go watch the Notre Dame game.
Have you ever been? Have you ever been to a Notre Dame game before?
The last time I went to a Notre Dame game was when I was like 14 years old when they took on Michigan State.
It'll be fun though.
Last time.
So now we got the new stadium. There's a lot new. So and the weather should be perfect. It'll be a good day for a ball game, man.
Oh yeah, it's definitely good out here today. My money is going to Notre Dame. Hey, I feel like Notre Dame is the team that's going to at least try to make it to a good, New Year's game, or at least a Final Four before they switch it over from 4 to 12.
Yeah.
But I really do think this game tonight, well, this afternoon, is going to be it's going to be an easy walk for Notre Dame. Prediction for the score, I think, is going to be 45-22.
Yeah, at least Notre Dame's getting in the 40s then. I could live with that. At least you're scoring in the 40s. That's a big improvement. So I'm totally down for that. I would take that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited. Oh, man. I'm just so excited for Notre Dame so badly right now. They got that good history behind them. Now I know some people might say I'm a little delusional for this, but I kind of can see that kind of like that Rudy years of this is our like Rudy year, you know. So I'm just being real with, with you guys about that.
Let me, can I ask you something as a Michigan State guy? I just genuinely want to know this. I always ask people from other teams this when they join my show, whether it's who are playing or they just like college football, find me. Here's my question to you. I'm very interested, genuinely. In the Michigan State fan base, how is Notre Dame perceived as a program? Are they respected, looked at as a physical Midwestern program? Or is it like it's Notre Dame? Like, how do you guys look at Notre Dame and see them?
Oh, to be honest, when we look at Notre Dame, we kind of look at Notre Dame as like the kid that keeps poking the bear with the stick until it's like that time. And then we just like hit him in the mouth and then just say, all right, go to your room. And then, we got to worry about other people who's more importantly.
Yeah, and I kind of get that, but like, wait, that comes off kind of harsh, but I actually totally understand it, because if you're a Big Ten team and you're playing Notre Dame, that's not a conference game, so there's a little bit of leeway there against your conference standing. So I actually kind of totally get why you're saying that, where it's coming from. Makes sense.
Yeah, hell, we talked about last time with, the little brother, big brother from Michigan. We look at them as like fire cops playing baseball together. Like, oh, you guys just wait around and put out fires, and we actually go out there and actually fight all the, good people.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
Man, I'm telling you, that Michigan State, I love the pure and genuine hatred of that rivalry is special. I love it. I love the way those programs hate each other. I love everything about it. Like, that rivalry is so good for college football. I love it. I might enjoy that one more than Michigan, Ohio State in some ways, because it's just that visceral Michigan State thing's very entertaining to me, and I love it.
Yeah, bad enough, I took a picture of myself on Facebook and Twitter, and it was me draped in all Irish from hair, like, because I dyed my hair just for today, Irish colors, and then, like, got the hat on. I'm just draped out in nothing but Irish fan gear. You got to make the missus happy. Because her father, he told us he was a diehard Irish fan since he was like 5 years old. So, hey man,
good man.
For the missus.
Good. You're gonna get some of that Irish in you today. But it'll be a perfect day there, man. Just the sun shining in South Bend for the first home game. It's just a unique feel. It's a very, very unique feel. And it's gonna be a fun day, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm just in it for the chili cheese fries that they got here.
Hey, you're doing the right thing. Look at you, man. Good family, man. Doing what you need to do. Keep the family happy. You're the second person that's called me today trying to keep their woman happy, by the way. You're the second one you were the second guy who's called me saying I'm trying to keep the wife happy today. So, but it'll be beautiful.
Yeah.
So what are you guys going to do? You got a tailgate set up? What do you got? You tailgating? You got a party? What's the move?
Actually, we drove to her father's house. She goes to Notre Dame. I go to Northwestern. And how we met is when she came to Chicago for an interview for a job that she was doing for cybersecurity, and things led to other things, and we started dating from there. But long story short, we just had her at her father's house, and then we're about to go to South Bend. He lives in South Bend, but we're about to drive down there.
Head over there. That'll be beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So Northwestern, that's so interesting, the Northwestern thing. I lived 7 years. I lived on the corner of Central and Asbury, which is the intersection right across from Northwestern Stadium. And I used to love waking up in the morning with the windows open and just hearing like the kind of tailgate starting when I wake up in the morning there. But Northwestern's a weird football environment. It isn't exactly what I'm used to. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no.
It's a little more laid back with Northwestern football. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm just doing this for her. Her brother is also a diehard. For the first time, this dude is rocking all Ohio State. He does not like Notre Dame at all. And when he saw Notre Dame lost, this dude was partying like there was no tomorrow. Like he won the freaking national championship or something like that.
Hey, that's the way it goes. That's the way I want it. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, but no, I really think Marshall, everybody might be saying, oh, Marshall is a good team. Marshall is this and that. I'm sorry, Marshall is not a good team. Notre Dame got this in the bag. This is a cakewalk for Notre Dame. They're going to get their first W, and this is going to be through Marshall. Their second game, who they're going to go against, I think is USC or Stanford, one of those two. I think that's going to be a really bloodbath right there. They're going to be hitting each other in the mouth, pow for pow. Probably like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson fight. But I'm going to give that one to their next game. I'm going to give that to Irish. I'm going to say that's 38-17 right there for the next game.
Beautiful.
Maybe I'm just giving them way too much high hopes, but I mean, hey, this is a guy who's rival with Irish fans out here. But I got to still give Irish, the fighting Irish, I got to give them mad respect out there. All you Irish fans out there, I'm sorry, but I'm giving y'all mad respect this year. And I'm just keeping it real with y'all.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. Enjoy the ball game today. Have fun. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And no, Bobby, I am not way off, man.
There you go. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
You too.
I like this, man. We got people from all over going to different games today. It's a riot. This is funny. Let's see. James, it should be a cakewalk, and anything less is bad. Here's the deal with that opinion. 100% correct. 100% correct. Are you out of your mind? You're a 20.5-point favorite. If it's not a cakewalk at home, trying to get your coach his first win against a team that you're favored by almost 3 touchdowns over, that is where people like me start getting anxiety and saying, what the hell's going on here? I don't like it. Something wrong. Right? Like that's where we're at with all this. And I don't, it's really hard. I don't want to be over dramatic. Like I know that's kind of my thing in this fan base. I'm not trying to be over dramatic, and I'm not trying to make the Marshall game seem like it's bigger than it actually is. That's not what I'm trying to do here, you guys. But Notre Dame just needs to be further along on offense. That's my ultimate point. They just need to be further along. I don't know what else to say. They need to be further along. I didn't expect it to be great last week, but it had to be more than what I saw. I didn't, and now I'm wound tight about it. That's all. Can you imagine what's going to happen on Twitter if this offense goes 3 and out or doesn't score its first few possessions? It's going to be ugly, folks. It just is. It's going to be ugly. It's just going to be ugly. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for another good defensive performance. I'm looking for a different defensive performance, if that makes sense. Last week, it was keep it together as much as you can to not let this get out of hand, because we know what can happen if things start going wrong on you against this offense. That ain't it today. That ain't the deal today. The deal today is very, very simple. You're playing a lesser opponent at home. You didn't play great on offense last week. You have a lot to practice this week, and it needs to result in a lot of points. A lot of points. If we come out flat today, we're going to have a start Excuse me, that was funny. If we come out flat today, we're going to have to start waving money and hookers in front of the guys to motivate them. Whatever works. Whatever works. You know how this is going to be. Everyone in this fan base is going to collectively lose their minds if the offense doesn't get it going this week. And here's the other thing. I'm open to this. I might end up looking like an idiot because I've been out here not downgrading Marshall all week, but I've been saying this game's more about Notre Dame than it is about Marshall. And I feel like that's inappropriate. But when you're playing a team you're a 21-point favorite over, I'm looking at it as you just need to take care of business. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It just is what it is. I am not in the mood to sit there and be annoyed with the offense today. I'm not. That was last week. And you kind of had an excuse to lean on for it. You don't have it this week, man. You don't. You don't have it. You don't have that kind of leeway. You do not have that kind of leeway. You need to score early and often. I at least it was last week. Oh man, Ohio State, at least they're good. You don't have that this week. Let's see. What else? I had one of these marked. I wanted to go back over. What is it? Is it this one? Here we go. Back to the 30-year thing again. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's my experience. It's rough out there. It's all I've known. Lucky me that the 37 years I've been born in, every team plays these games in early weeks. Don't feel apologetic. You just need to take care of business. You need to open up a can today. You just do. Sorry. That's what needs to happen. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for the show. Almost 2 hours again, just underneath 2 hours. I have a little business to take care of before we get into the football today. So I appreciate everybody for being here, everybody who called, everybody who donated, everybody in the chat. I appreciate you. There is no show without you, and I appreciate it very much. Let's hopefully all relax and enjoy Marcus's big first win at Notre Dame, and we build from there. Enjoy your day, everybody. Appreciate you.